Hey guys, welcome to the last little episode of the trimester recaps. We have made it to the third trimester. I'm currently 39 weeks pregnant in a few days, and I just have a feeling. So I decided it's probably the best time for me to go ahead and go over the third trimester recap and go over anything that has happened during this time. So I feel like the third trimester pretty much feels like that's when pregnancy feels very real. Like the first trimester, you are in this weird time waiting to see what's going to happen. You know, there's a lot of fear whether the pregnancy continues and all those type of things. I didn't allow myself to get excited till like the second trimester. The second trimester was really a great time. And I want to say the whole time I was waiting for my bump to show so I can mentally see that I am pregnant. And then the third trimester, the bump is there. So there's no way of hiding it. Let's go over a few things. I want to talk about how my third trimester has gone, how my fitness has been going, how my nutrition has been going, and we can talk a little bit about how much weight I gained afterwards during my whole pregnancy, because I forgot to do the math between second trimester and third trimester. Maybe I'll do it on my phone. I don't want to make it too difficult. All right, so let's go over the third trimester recap. I'm gonna go over not like week by week, but things that I noticed from the start of my first trimester. One of the things that happened was I developed a neck rash. I have a neck rash, which is so weird, and I don't know what to do with it. Like, I have tried different moisturizers. I feel like the only thing that has been working has been the argan oil, but it's still there. And another thing I kind of stopped doing the last 4 weeks of this third trimester was really self-tanning. My body was just not tanning. Plus, like with the rash, the tan was going in there and it looked weird. So I do have a neck rash. I believe that developed around the second trimester, but I didn't really pay attention to it till the third trimester. Now, the third trimester, I ended up getting sick. So if you watch my second trimester recap, I was talking about how I was congested. I got sick and I was a little bit worried of like taking medicine, what would happen if it got worse. But you know, I just got like normal little symptoms and thank goodness it went away. I was congested maybe for like 2 weeks and I was worried that I was going to have this congestion for the rest of the pregnancy, but we're good now. We're good. Now, the other thing that I did around the third trimester was I created a baby registry, which I thought was very stressful, if I'm honest, because one, I didn't know exactly what to put in the baby registry. I feel like there's so much that needs to be input in there. And my husband and I, we decided that we didn't really want a baby shower just because we wanted to keep things a little bit more minimal when it comes to like the stuff for the baby. At the same time, all his family is here, which is great, but then my family's not here and it just seemed like too much. And we didn't really want baby shower. We don't really like the attention as much, but I did create a baby registry because I had a few clients reaching out to me and asking me about it. So I wanted to make sure that I did have a baby registry if somebody wanted to send us something, which I am so thankful for because everything in the baby registry has been sent. It's just amazing. So I just want to thank everyone who sent us something. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. This is something that's very difficult for me to do, is not really like ask for help, right? But like be willing to accept gifts. I'm not really good at it just because I've always kind of been that person that's like, I'll buy my own. I don't need someone to feel the need to have to give me something. And I completely understand like where people are coming from the gifts. So I am very, very thankful for this very special moment. We have everything. Obviously, my husband and I, we bought like the main things that we wanted to buy. And in the registry, I made sure I kept something that wasn't too expensive just because, you know, I think sometimes some things are too expensive. And I think it's great when people want to gift other people that that type of stuff. But for me, it was just more like I wanted to keep it affordable where someone didn't feel like they had to spend a lot of money. Registry was done. Everything has been bought, and we pretty much have everything that a new baby would need. The other thing that I noticed are baby hiccups. Baby hiccups are something really funny that I noticed. So my baby is very active. Once I started to feel him moving towards the end of the third trimester, the activity does change because he's a little bit bigger. So the movements feel different. I'm not gonna lie, I had a freak out moment where he wasn't as active on the normal times that he's active on. So for example, when I go to sleep, he is jumping around, kicking me around. And at 3:30 in the morning, that's usually the time that he is doing the same thing. And there was one day where I kind of freaked out and I got very emotional about it. But that same day we had the OB appointment, so he was doing perfectly fine. I think it's just his movements, his patterns, they start to change. So now like the movements feel a little bit different, but I can definitely feel him moving. He's moving right now. But the hiccups are something I can't explain. Like you just feel the rhythm. So I remember asking my OB, I'm like, if I feel like the baby, like these little rhythms, or is that a hiccup? And she was like, yeah, those are hiccups. So I am very like in tune and aware, everything that's happening in my body. So obviously like very in tune with my baby as well. Hiccups every day, he gets hiccups. Now let's talk about working on a birth plan. So I took birth classes from my second trimester. I bought birth class that I took, finally finished the birth classes. I highly suggest if you are a first-time mom, or even if maybe this is your second time and you didn't feel very prepared on your first one, taking birth classes do help a lot. The birth classes that I took, I can actually link them down below. One thing that I really liked was she went over everything. So for example, she went over if you didn't want to get an epidural. She went over on if you do want to get an epidural and what would happen if you got a C-section, which is super important to know everything, because I do know with birth, as much as we want to plan for it and we have this idea of what we would like things to be, things go very unexpected. So I do think it's important that you do understand everything, right? Because like, for example, she talked about whether you want to get an epidural, but maybe you show up to the hospital too late, or maybe for whatever reason you can't get one. It's good to know how to deal with an unmedicated birth. At the same time, like let's say you go with the idea of like, I don't want to get the epidural, I want to go unmedicated, but then it gets very intense and you decide to get the epidural, you know what's going to happen, right? And at the same time, if you have to get a C-section, then you understand what happens during the C-section, how to recover and all those things. Like she gives you so much information, and there's still more information because you get to learn more about like the newborn stages, what to watch out for, also your postpartum recovery, what you need, what you don't need, depending on how you give birth. For me, that was super beneficial taking that class. It was an online class, so I was able to do it at home. And the nice thing is my husband also watched all the videos with me. So I think it's super important that you involve your partner as much as possible. I understand as a female, we carry the baby, right? So the partner carrying the baby, but at the same time, I want him to experience it as well, even though he's not experiencing everything I'm experiencing. Like for example, my body changing, the baby movements, the emotions that go through pregnancy, right? But I wanted to get him involved as much as possible. We did do the birth class, and then we also took a newborn class and a breastfeeding class as well in person. That was pretty fun too. I want to say that has been like my favorite thing about pregnancy, is just getting closer to my husband and him like learning all these things with me, because you learn so much with the breastfeeding class. Like I learned, the fact that if you do have a C-section, your milk might take a few days to come in. The other thing would be taking a band advantage of the lactation consultants so that way your baby latches on pretty well and all those things. So it's really amazing. The newborn class also teaches you so much as well. So I highly suggest it if you can take it. Obviously, taking these classes, you can't say they fully prepare you for things, but I think as a first-time mom, at least you'll feel a little bit less stressed about like, am I doing things correctly? One of the best advice that I got from clients and from my mom as well, they all mention like follow your intuition. It's very common for people to give you unsolicited advice when you don't really ask for it, especially as a first-time mom, and it can make you question like whether you can do this. I feel like it is a new stage of your life where it seems a little bit scary. So when somebody tells you, hey, you're a mom, you're gonna have intuition, follow your intuition, it makes you feel a lot more confident in yourself because it is something you build up your confidence with, right? Obviously, I'm still pregnant. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to have people to like roll their eyes and be like, yeah, she has no clue what she has coming. I'm looking at my notes right now, so I make sure that I am doing everything, that I am speaking about everything. I also had another team photo shoot. Oh my God, I had a team photo shoot at around 7 months pregnant. So when I first found out I was pregnant, if you watch my first trimester recap, I had a team photo shoot at 8 weeks pregnant, so roughly around 2 months pregnant. And my third trimester, I had a team photo shoot at 7 months pregnant. I had so much fun prepping my clients for their photo shoot. At the same time, I did my own little mini photo shoot, fitness photo shoot with them. So we had the team photo shoot, they had their own individual photo shoot, and then towards the end of the photo shoot, I did my own photo shoot, which I'm not gonna lie, I was so exhausted. I remember with Nolan, which is our photographer, he was like, oh, do you want to change? Do you want to do this? I was like, no, let's just get like 4 pictures in. That's it. Like, I just want a few. That's it. I don't really want to do much. And the day after, I had a maternity photo shoot. Maybe I'll insert like a little clip. So with the maternity photo shoot, I looked for a photographer that you can also have your partner involved in the maternity photo shoot, because there were some photographers where it was just more like for you, right? And they were like, oh, this is an empowering photo shoot. It's just, you know, for the mom and your belly. So you have this bonding experience, and I'm pretty sure that's great. For me, like I said, I did want to get Julio involved as much as I can with the pregnancy, and obviously he wanted to be involved too. I wanted to make sure the photo shoot wasn't just about me, it was also with him. So with the photo shoot, there was my individual like pictures, and then we also had a picture with him. So I really liked on Pinterest, there were these like pictures where you wear a white shirt or like a white sports bra and jeans. I convinced him to buy some jeans so that way we were a little bit matchy, and I really liked it because that's kind of like my type of outfit. I like basic shirts and jeans. So yeah, I had a great time doing the maternity photo shoot. It's to a point where, you know, I don't normally have a screensaver, but I do have our photo shoot in our screensaver. I don't know, it just made me feel really special because, you know, we're both creating a little human. I don't want to get emotional, but yeah, we're both creating a little human, and I'm just so excited for this new chapter in our life. Wow, I did not expect. So yeah, maternity photo shoot. Now let's talk about, I'm not going to talk about fitness yet, so I'm going to just continue talking about things. There was another thing that I was a little bit worried about during a certain time, and that was if my baby had turned. I don't know why, like you start freaking out about everything, okay? So during the 3rd trimester, I realized that through your whole pregnancy, as much as it's a beautiful time, there is a lot of, I don't want to say negativity, but there is a lot of negativity that goes around it, right? So like, there's always like, are you getting these horrible symptoms, right? Are you having these aches and pains, right? And then there comes a time where like, all of a sudden they're talking to you about like, has your baby turned? And then you start freaking out. So I kind of stopped listening to a lot of things, even the app that tells me how, week by week how things are going. I felt like it always started with like the body changes that you're going to be having, what symptoms you're going to be having. A part of me, I felt like, me not having a lot of bad symptoms in my pregnancy made me feel not guilty, but I felt like a lot of people took it as like, wow, you're so lucky because you didn't have these symptoms, which, it made me feel like there was something wrong with my pregnancy, as crazy as that sounds, because I didn't have the symptoms. Right? And I realized that pregnancies are just different for everybody. And yes, I can say like, I am so lucky that I didn't have the symptoms, but I also don't know if it's because the lifestyle that I live. Obviously, I say that very lightly because I do know there's people who probably also live a healthy lifestyle and have horrible symptoms. So I don't know, right? It could also be the fact that, when I share the news with my mom and, sometimes like the person you look up to, which I tend to look up to my mom, when they say something to you, like you take it to the heart, right? And I remember my mom saying like, you're pregnant, you're not sick or anything like that. You should still be able to do your normal things as much as you can. And I took that as like, all right, I still kept up with my workouts. I still kept up with my healthy eating as much as I could. Obviously, I had a little bit cravings here and there. Yeah, I want to say I feel very grateful that I can say my pregnancy has gone somewhat smooth. And I also stopped listening to a lot of the negative symptoms, a lot of the negative things. And I just started focusing on like how to just enjoy the moment and be more positive towards this new journey in my life of growing a little human, because it is uncomfortable. I'm at that stage where I'm like, man, I miss my normal clothes. I miss, certain things, right? And I just keep getting bigger. And I have to constantly tell myself like, hey, it's okay. I'm going to have a baby after this, right? And my body's doing pretty amazing things for my baby to be safe right now and growing him and all those things. So yeah, just wanted to talk about that, how sometimes pregnancy makes you worry too much. So I did work on a birth preference. I'm going to say birth preference, not a plan, because things could go a whole different way. But there are certain things that I would prefer if things were to happen during my birth. And for that, it's mainly for like my husband to know, since it's just going to be him and I in the delivery room, and for him to know what I would like. Obviously, everything depends on how safe things are and how the baby is progressing and all those things. The birth preference, you just kind of talk about like what you want your atmosphere to be, whether you want medicated, not medicated, what you want after when the baby comes and all those things. But we also took a hospital tour, and during the hospital tour they kind of told us like what happens as well once you deliver the baby. A lot of the things that were in the birth preference is something the hospital already does. That was kind of a little stressful, but also good, and also changing your mindset from being like a birth plan to a birth preference. It's just like your little wishes that you would like. We have to go in there with an open mind. My husband and I were very about not having expectations. We go in there with an open mind. That's how we done everything. Even when I competed in my first bikini show, I went in there with an open mind. I did not have an expectation to win. I just wanted to have fun. Obviously, labor might be a little bit different. Hopefully I can have fun. I don't want to go in with an expectation. The whole plan is just to have a baby and for both of us to be healthy. You might have caught it, you might have not, but I have burps and hiccups all the time. I don't enjoy it. It's so annoying. Sometimes I'm doing client check-ins and I like feel like I'm burping half of the time. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? At the same time, I get full so fast. Oh my God. Like today, I did not finish my cup of coffee because I am just full. And then you get hungry and you eat and you're full again. So it's like a weird time because your stomach is so squished, your organs and all that stuff. So yeah, eating has been a little bit funny. Let's talk a little bit about, I have here start hot flashes. Throughout my whole third trimester, I feel really hot. I guess I could say, being pregnant during winter time was amazing because normally I'm a very cold person. I have to wear like double sweaters all the time. And throughout the whole winter, I was just wearing my tank top and a sweater. I wanted to be cold because I felt hot really fast and I would just start sweating like to the point where at the gym, if there's a fan on, I'm working out in front of the fan. Okay. Another thing, workouts did eventually decrease. I kind of forgot around what time, but I want to say like after week 34, 36, I switched from doing 4 days a week to 3 days a week where I am doing full body workouts. This was like a really hard, tough decision for me to do. My coach had asked me, hey, do you want to transition to 3 days a week? And I was like, no, I can handle it. And I think I tried handling it for like 2 more weeks, but my body was just kind of like not recovering as well. So for example, I would go work out 2 days and I would be exhausted for the next 3 days. So I decided to let go of my stubbornness and be okay with decreasing my workouts to 3 days a week. I have been doing 3 days a week, but I will say being pregnant made me so efficient with my workouts. I get my workouts done so fast that to the point where I'm like, what had I been doing a while back? So yeah, my workouts, not doing any cardio or anything like that. I'm just keeping up with my steps. My steps can be anywhere between 8,000 up to 12,000 steps, depending how I'm feeling energy-wise and stuff like that. Nutrition has remained the same. I'm still eating relatively my normal meals. So I did go into intuitive eating now. So the last like 6 weeks, I switched from, following kind of a meal plan, weighing my food and all those things to now just kind of eating based on how I feel and what I want. But funny thing is I still eat the same. I still eat my normal meals that I normally have, which, it's supposed to happen. That's intuitive eating, is you don't just normally go from eating a certain way to eating like crap. This is really me practicing my healthy lifestyle during this time. So I've been enjoying it. The only thing I will say is veggies are not as appetizing. I really have to force myself to eat vegetables. I've been craving more things like a pita wrap, a sandwich, tacos. I swear, like this baby better come out loving tacos because I feel like I eat tacos way more ever since I've been pregnant. So that's how my nutrition's been going. Now that I am 39 weeks towards the end of my pregnancy, I have allowed myself to have a little bit more treat here and there with moderation. It's funny because like I allow myself to have things that like I would have before when I was not very healthy. The other day we went and bought Mongolian food because I was like, well, let's try it. And I had it and it was good, but it wasn't like as good as I remember. So I'm like, I could have just had my normal meals at home. That's where I've been, where like I allow myself to have a little bit extra, but then at the same time I feel disappointed and I'm like, I could just had my normal meals. I do have here that like at week 36 to 37, so that's when my workouts have slowed down and I have started taking naps. I don't take naps, but now my gym time has been getting replaced with naps. So I do take about a 30 to 40 minute nap almost every day. Just listening to my body. I need to rest. I'm still like coaching and working and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I'm resting where I can. And then I have here where at week 38, I started to feel the baby's lungs expand. So his lungs already developed around week 37 or 38, I believe. He doesn't breathe right in there, but I can feel him breathing, right? So I can feel his lungs expanding. So I asked my OB and she was like, yeah, he's just practicing. He's not really breathing in there, but he's practicing. And right now that I'm saying him, I had a moment where I freaked out wondering if maybe I'm incorrect and he is a girl. But so we got the 20-week ultrasound and then we went and got another ultrasound because they were saying that the baby he was measuring a little bit too big, which I was freaking out. But then it turns out that he's perfectly fine. It's still him. So just in my head, like you have these weird thoughts, like I know where I'm like, what if he is a she? I don't know. But yeah, another thing that I didn't talk about was around week 32 or so, I feel like my husband started nesting. Maybe you could comment below if your husband had like some sort of symptoms, or I don't know if it's like the nerves, but he started nesting to the point where he's like, when are you going to start nesting? And I don't know if I ever got the nesting thing. We had everything already prepared. At the moment, I already have everything prepared where like if he were to come at any moment, I feel prepared. So I don't feel the need to do so much. And then I also feel like our house is not like a spotless clean house, but I also don't feel like we have a mess just because I don't like to have a lot of things. Like I mentioned, we tend to keep our house very minimal. So yeah, I feel pretty prepared. All right, so let's talk about, this is getting a little bit long. So I'm just going to talk about like my weight gain during my pregnancy. So when I first got pregnant and I had my first OB appointment, she mentioned that I was looking into gaining 35 pounds. It could be anywhere between 35 to 40. When you are leaner, your body can gain more weight. Now, everybody's different. I'm only sharing this so I can just share how much weight I gained. If I do the calculations from the day that I found out I was pregnant, I am roughly around 37 pounds up. So I went up 2 pounds extra than what she mentioned, which is the 35 pounds. But I do know that towards the end of your pregnancy, people do say you retain a little bit more water, although I don't feel swollen. There are days where I feel like my legs do look a little bit more swollen. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that really briefly. 37 pounds up, that's kind of it. Oh, you know what? I did talk about one of the ultrasounds that we had where he was measuring too big. We saw him moving his lips. That was so cute. So we didn't do any other ultrasounds besides the ultrasounds that they offered at the hospital, just because our baby was very shy from what the ultrasound tech told us. He kept moving around. They couldn't get a good picture of him. So I was like, if we go pay to get like one of those 4D ultrasounds, like we might just pay and not see much of it, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm just excited to meet him and for me to see him that first time, because I feel like with ultrasounds, you can't really tell. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm super excited to enter this new journey in my life. Hopefully you enjoyed my first, second, and third trimester recap. After that, you know, I'm going back to my normal health and fitness content. I am working on improving things a lot better. So if you're interested in knowing more about health and fitness, make sure you subscribe to my channel, because there's going to be a lot more informational videos coming out. But at the same time, I wanted to share this new journey that I'm going through. And I'm just so excited because I went through my pregnancy journey, my fit pregnancy journey, and now we're going to transition into my fit journey as a mom. And if you want to share with me how your third trimester went, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Or if your husband had any type of symptoms during your pregnancy, that would be cool to learn as well, that it wasn't just my husband. And if you want to see any other type of content, let me know. Obviously, this was me documenting my pregnancy journey, and we're gonna move on from here. All right, so I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll be back soon. Bye.